The last session, what we discussed. Last session in Java, what we discussed. So the last program was which program? This is the one, right? This one. So we created a class. We created like two objects. Okay. While creating an object, we pass the data to that particular class. Whenever you create an object, if you want to pass the data, yes, you can pass the data. This data go to where? Whenever you create an object, if you pass the data, that data go to where? Go to constructor. Now the constructor hold the data. The first value type is like integer, the second one is like string. That the reason integer and string. And now these values assigned to whom? These values are assigned to your global variable, is nothing but class level variables or not. Yes or no? So how we can represent an object inside the class? How to represent an object inside the class, how we can represent the current class object? You can say current class object, how we can represent using this keyword. Now if you come here, whenever you are looking for one variable, first of all, that variable is there or not there, it is going to check in the object level. If it is not there, it is going to check in the class level. Now if you observe here, yesterday already we discussed that whenever you call get student info, okay, here I have a static variable is there at class level. Here I commented this one. In this case, my output is like what? Roll number and such, you can get it. If I uncomment this one, this dot name equals to name. Now I have a static variable name and I have a object. Okay, that means instance variable. See, this variable inside the object creation is nothing but instantiation, terminology wise. That the reason these variables now onwards I want to tell, okay, I want to use the word called as instance variable. Non-static variables or instance variable. Why? Because by using an object we created these variables. Now in this case, if you observe, static variable name is there, instance variable name also there. Now, okay, if I call, what is my output? You can get it. If I run this one, what is the output? You can get it. Can we run it? The output is like what? Yes1 and yes2. See, here I called this member using class name only, but still, okay, this particular data, first it is looking for the data inside the object level. If it is there, then the time it is gives the preference to object, and then it is go to the class level or not. If it is not there, that's all. Now, for example, if I comment this one, now the output is what? The output is what?
Sachin.
Sachin, right? The output is like Sachin. Yes or no? You can say, okay, whenever we have the value, okay, variable in the class level and object level, first object level get the priority, and then if it is not there, then only you can get the class level. If it is there in the object level, first get the priority to the object level. If it is not there, then only it is go to the class level. If both not there, class level also not there, object level also not there. If both not there, then if both not there,
Error.
cannot find symbol, right? Cannot find symbol or not? Cannot find a symbol. That's all. Okay. After okay, everyone. Yesterday we discussed all these things. Okay. Now today's discussion is what is static variable? When you can go with static variable and instance variables. Instance variables. Which variables you can say like a static? Which variables you can say like a instance variables? Instantiation is nothing but what you know. Instantiation. Instance is nothing but what? Terminology wise, you can say like an object. Instantiation is nothing but object creation. Object creation. Any variable, okay, which referred with an object, you can call with an object or you keep inside the object any variable, okay, with an object calling or keep inside that object. That kind of variables you can say like a instance variables. For example, somewhere I saw the code like this. Now tell me, here this is what? Here this is what? Is an object. Yes or no? Current class object. You keep name inside the object, right? So that this name, can I say like what? Instance variable or not? This name I can say like a instance variable or not. Yes or no? Okay. Now, for example, somewhere I saw the code. I create an object for this particular A class. If I'm able to access obj dot name, most of the times this kind of variables also, which kind of variables with object reference you are able to call this kind of variables also, what you can say, instance variables or not. You keep one variable inside the object or you retrieve the data using an object. That kind of variables we can say like a instance variables. Work with, okay, work with an object. Instance is nothing but an object. Instantiation is nothing but object creation. Okay, that kind of variables we can say like what? Instance variables. What about static? First, okay, I want to find this is the instance variable or static variable. First of all, I want to find it. After that, when you can go with the static, when you can go with the instance, we'll see. Okay, how we can say one variable is like a static most of the times. Whenever you create a variable, okay, with the static keyword, whenever you create a variable with the static keyword, okay, like this, whenever you create a variable with the static keyword, that kind of variables what we can say, static variables or not. I can understand like this is like a static variable. Now most of the times 99% 100% you can say static members we are going to call with the what? We are going to call with what? With the class name or not. Whenever you call a member with the class name, you can say that member is like what? You can say that member is like what?
Static member.
It's like a static variable or not. Static member. If it is like a variable, you can say like a static variable or not. So which variable you can say like a instance variable, which variable you can say like a static variable, you can easily understand or not. Now tell me, this is like which kind of variable? This is like which kind
Instance
of variable? It's
instance
like a
variable.
instance variable or not. Okay, if I remove this one, okay, if it is having the static keyword, I can say this particular variable is like what? Static variable or not. 99%, 100%, most of the times, static variables we can access using what? Using class name. Using class name. Instance variables we are going to call using instance variables we are going to call
Object then.
using an object or not. So okay, now you can easily find which variable is like a static variable, which variable is like a instance variable or not. Okay, now when you can go with the instance variable, when you can go with the class variable, when you can go with the instance, when you can go with static, go with the static, when you can go with the static. Do you know that? When you can go with the instance and when you can go with the static. Okay, very simple. I have a class student. I have a class student. I want to print the student information. Okay, student information, which information, you know? His name, okay, his roll number, his college name. Okay, his college name, his college name. Okay, now another student details also I want: name, roll number, his college name, college name. Now tell me, first student details can you give here? Simply, name is like S1, my roll number is like what? 1, my college name is like some name is like this. Now the second student, S2, okay, he also, okay, roll number 2, okay, he also belongs to the same college, right? What is my college name? BTS or not? Now if you observe here, I have a class is there, that is like a student class. I created like two objects. One is like first student object, another one is like second student object. Think like that. Now in the first student object, if you observe, S1 no, name, roll number 1, college VTS. Second student like S2 and roll number 2 and college VTS. Okay na? Now my question is, this is one object, right? This is another object, right? Object to object, which data is like different? Object to object, which data is like different?
Name and roll number are different.
Name and roll number is like different or not? Which data is like same or common for, okay, all the student objects, all the objects? Which
College name is
is
same.
like common? It's like a college name or not? College name or not? So that you can say any variable value is vary, means different from one object to another object. That kind of variables you can define like a instance variables. Understood? Which kind of data is like vary, which data is like different from one object to another object. That kind of variables can you define like a which variable? Static or instance?
Instance variable. Instance
Instance.
variable.
If the value of the variable is like vary from one object to another object, okay, that kind of variables we can define like a instance variable. So how we can define instance variables? Without static, if you create a variable, it's like default instance only. So can I create my name? Okay, can I create my roll number like this? Is it like instance or static? It's like a instance or static?
Instance variable.
Instance variables, right? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Now my question is, which data is like common for each and every object? For every object, which data is like a common?
College name is common.
College name is like common, right? So the value of the variable is like, okay, same for each and every object. The value of the variable is common for each and every object. That kind of variables we can define like a static variables most of the times. Got my point? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So you can define instance variables like this. The value of the variable is like vary from one object to another object, then you can define that variable as a instance variable. The value of the variable is like same or common for each and every object, then the time you can define, okay, the particular variable is like a okay, static variable or not. Value of the variable is common, same for each and every object, then that time can you define that particular variable as like what? Static variable or not? Okay, so here the college name, can I define like what? Static, right? So can I write like a static string college equals to, now this is common for all, right? That's the reason, can we assign some value?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so whenever you define a class level, okay, static variable, that variable is like a common or same, okay, this member is acting like a class level variable or not. For the student class, this particular variable value is like common or not? Yes or no? Okay, these all variables, static variables, always like, okay, class level members or not? Class level members. But instance variables are like what? Instance variables, these are like object level, not class level, right? Yes or no? Now I want to give some data to the name and roll number, right? How we can give the data? Okay, there has two students are there. Okay, tell me how we can. Now onwards, it's like common. I want to create a first student object like this. Okay, while creating an object is nothing but, while creating a student object means, okay, my student object is physically available at this moment. Can you provide the data to the student? Okay, can you provide the data? Okay, student data. How we can provide the student data? Is a name, is a roll number or not? Yes or no? Whenever you pass the data while creating an object, whenever you pass the data while creating an object, okay, now tell me how we can hold the data, how we can hold that data.
By creating a constructor.
Okay, my constructor is going to hold the data or not? So whenever, okay, if you run this one, it gives me an error. Why? Because default constructor is available, but it is expecting like what? Parameterized constructor or not? So how we can create the constructor? Public syntactically, my class name and my constructor name is like same. Okay, and my constructor is not written anything. Now this value and this value go to my constructor. So how we can, the first value and my second value are done. Now this S1 go to name, this 10 go to roll number. Now this name and roll number assigned to my class level instance variables or not? Global variables, I can say. So how we can assign? How we can assign? My this dot name equals to name. Next one is like what? This dot roll number equals to roll number or not? Yes or no? So why if I write like directly name, then the time it is not work syntactically. First of all, this particular class object is required. In the class object, okay, these two instance variables I want to keep it. This dot name, which value you want me to assign? Name I want to assign. This dot roll number. And one more thing also, how we can differentiate this name and this particular, okay, name? How we can differentiate? This is like a local variable, right? And this is like what? This is like what? Class level instance variables or not? How we can refer the instance variables? How we can refer the instance variables using an object, right? Yes or no? That's the reason just I added like this dot name and this dot roll number. If I not written anything, then the time this name is what? This one and this one, and this roll number is what? This one, this one. There has a confusion, right? Yes or no? To differentiate my local variables as well as to differentiate this one, okay, we can use like this. Okay, how we can use it? Whenever you use like this, okay, it's like a class level object created. You assign this one, you assign this name to my class level instance variable. Now this dot roll number also same like this, you can write it. Okay, if I write like n r, now if I write like this, then the time it's going to work or not work? Again, no. You have to follow the syntax. What the syntax? Whenever, if it is like an instance variable, if you want to use anywhere, no onwards, just you can refer with the object. How we can access the members of a class? How we can access the members of a class in general? using a class or using an object or not. Class, which members we can access? Static members. Object, which members we can access? Object, which members we can access?
Instance members.
Instance members, right? So that wherever, okay, wherever you want to use, okay, if you want to access the instance variables, now onwards, can I use what? Object. Okay, in the class, how we can represent the object? How we can represent the current class object? This, right? Yes or no? Understood? When you can go with the static variable, when you can go with the instance variable, simple. The value of the variable is like a common for all the objects. That variable should be, the value of the variable is common for all the objects. Then that value, can you define that variable? Can you define like an instance or static? Go on. Instance or static? Static, right? Yes or no? Static or not?
Yes, sir.
Okay. If the value of the variable is like vary, different from one object to another object,
Instance variables.
it's like an instance variable or not. Okay. Okay then. So the next one is okay, let's execute this program. Now here only we have, right? Can I define like what? Student string name equals to this. Now I want one static variable, right? String my college name is like what? Like this. Now the next one is what? This is instance variable. This is also instance variable. Can I refer with what? Object. This dot roll number. This dot name. Yes or no? Now get student info. Okay, here. Okay, if you want to access the members of a class, how we can access? Either using an object or either using class name. Okay, without using object, without using class name, it is going to work, but it's not recommended one. Better to go with object or class name. If it is like instance variable, I can access using object. Tell me in the class, inside the class, how we can represent the current class object? This dot what? Name. Okay, this dot name. The next one is what? This dot roll number or not. Okay, the next one is like this dot, can I use college? Will it work or not work? Will it work or not work?
It will work, sir.
It is going to work, right? Okay, now if you observe here, okay, there is a syntax error. No issues, we can fix it. Come here, Java test. Now it is working as expected or not? Okay, but okay, don't call by using a object. Okay, by using an object. Okay, call using class name or not. Recommended one. Call using class name or not. Whenever you call using class name, okay, also no issues. It is working. It is going to work as expected. Now, can I compile the code? Compile. Can I run it? Just I run. Now it is working as expected or not? Now you got some idea, right? Instance variables and the static variables. Okay. The next one is like, okay, small topics are there. Let's go with first one. Okay, basic. Okay, so far we discussed like hello world program. If I write, okay, what I should know before start with my hello world program, what I should learn, what is class you should learn, what is an object you should learn, what is static member you should learn or not, how to create a variable also. Okay, so far we completed these things. Now our actual topics we can start. The first topic is like identifiers. identifiers. What is an identifier? In your program, any name you can say like a identifier. For example, class A is there. To identify the class, can I use this name? Can I use this name? Okay, this is what? This is the class name, right? Class name. This is like an identifier or not? Yes or no? So these identifiers, okay, you should not use, okay, which name you want. That is not like that. Okay, there has some specific guidelines you have to follow. Some specific guidelines you have to follow. Otherwise, if you not follow, then the time you can get the errors. Okay, let me go to this. Go to Java. Now here I'm going to write like int number equals to 10. Okay, let me print that particular number. Let me print particular number. This is like 100% valid, you know that. Okay, now this one is there. Now if I write here, the identifiers main is an identifier. It is the name of the class. To identify the class, okay, how we can identify? Using a main, I can identify the class or not. To identify the method, okay, here to identify the method, can I use like a main method? Yes or no? Now the next one is like here number also one of the identifier only or not. Now if I write like this, will it work or not work? If I write like this, will it work or not work? Will it work or not work? Okay, it is not. Okay, what is the error? Variable, okay, cannot find symbol. You get it, right? System.out.println of number. Okay, why? Because here also number, here also number, but here starts with the capital N, but here not. That means you can conclude one point: Java is like a case sensitive or not? Java is like a case sensitive or not? Okay, in the identifiers, you can use, okay, alphanumerics, no problem at all. Alphabets you can use it, okay. Uppercase you can use it, lowercase you can use it, and the numeric values 0 to 9 you can use it. But in the special characters, you have to use either underscore or either dollar. Other than that, if you use any, you can get the compiled error maybe. Now, if you come here, number, okay, if I try to access it, if I try to access it, now you can get like what? Okay, illegal character, something like this. Say this illegal character. Okay, it's like a compile time error or runtime error if you want to check. Okay, here you can do it. Identifiers.java public class. What's my class name? Identifier. Identifier. Next, public static void main string done. Okay, here I'm writing hash is equals to 10 system dot out dot println of number hash. Okay, this hash or special character is allowed as identifier or not, you can check it. Java C. Now if you come here, it gives me a compile time error, illegal character hash. Now if I use underscore, will it work or not work? Will it work or not work? Okay, now it is okay, fine. Now can I use this? Okay, here number underscore, right? Okay, now the compile time error, will you get it or not get? Okay, here public class identifier. What happened here? Class identifier is like a public should be declared. Maybe this name and this name is like different. Can I use identifier? Can I use this one? What is the error you get it? You know, you declared a class as like a public. Whenever you declare a class as a public in .java file, your file name should be public class name or not. That's the reason you get that error. Now see, there is no compile time errors, nothing. So can I use like this? Can I write dollar? Can I write a dollar? Will it work or not work? Okay, it is working as expected or not. Can I use 1, 2, 3 something like this? My identifier starts with the digits. Will it work? Is my identifier starts with the digits? Will it work or not work? Not work, right? We should not start the identifier as like a okay number starts with the number or not. Yes or no? It okay.
Yes, sir.
So in Java, if you want to create a class, okay, just you can use that class name as like, okay, capital letter, starts with capital letter. That is like always recommended one. If you want to write a method now onwards, just you can go with the camel case is nothing but starts with lowercase. In the middle, if you have any highlight the words, just you can use like a uppercase. Okay. Now, is there any spaces it is going to allow or not allow? First name. Do we have okay this kind of syntax in Java? Is it going to allow? No, right? It gives me an error or not. It gives me an error. You should not use spaces while creating, okay, while creating a variable or a class or a method, whatever it is. Okay, these all are like identifiers. Identify a class, identify a method, identify a variable or not. Okay. The next one is like data types. It's simple only. Okay, data types. Tell me what kind of data types Java supports. What kind of data types Java supports? Hmm? First one is like, okay, we have the primitive data types over there. Okay, we have the primitive. Another one is like reference also. Let's go with the primitive data types. Okay, in the primitive data types, also we can categorize it like and to store numeric values. To store numeric values, we have some numeric data types. If you want to store like a characters data, okay, that means string kind of okay character data. Okay, char data type is there. It's a, like a primitive data type. The next one is like what true, false, that kind of Boolean values. If you want to store Boolean data types also there. Okay, so let's go with the primitive data types. Primitive data types. The name is like a primitive data types. Now here also we can categorize it like what? Numeric data types. Numeric only represents like numbers. The next one is like a char data type. The next one is like Boolean data type. Now in the numeric data types, which are like represents which data types we can use to represent your numbers, which data types to represent your number values. So far we discussed like integer, right? Okay, before int we have the a byte is there, byte. The next one is like short is there, short. The next one is like int is there. The next one is like long. The next one is like long. Okay, in the numeric, okay, these all are related to integers. These all are related to integers. Now if you want to define some float values, points 123.2 like that float values, then the time we have the data type is like a float, and we have the data type is like a double data type. Okay, so in the primitive data types, to represent the number values, the data type can be a byte or short or int and long and float and double. These all are defined for what? Integer values. These defined for what? Float values or not. Is defined for float values. The next one is like characters. If you want to represent the data type itself, char is the data type. Char. Okay. If you want to represent the Boolean values, we have Boolean is the data type. Boolean. We have the Boolean is the data type. Now, already I told to you, Java is not dynamically typed programming language. Whenever you define a variable based on the data type, first it is going to assign the space or not. Yes or no? It is not dynamically typed programming language. Whenever you define a variable in JavaScript, based on the data type, it allocates the memory. If my data type is like int, how much memory it is allocated? I said 4 bytes memory or not. That 4 bytes memory, okay, address name is where in that memory they place 10 value or not. Yes or no? Now, same way, we have byte also. Byte a equals to, okay, 1. Now, the data type is like a byte. How many bytes memory it is going to allocate? If it is like a byte, 1 byte memory it's going to allocate. Okay. Now, that memory name is what? Location. That memory address name is A. That memory assigned with, or in that memory, we keep which value? 1 value or not. Integer 4 bytes. Okay, byte, how much memory allocated in Java? 1 byte only. Same like this. The next one is like what? The next one, short, right? Yes or no? The next one is like what? Short. If it is like a short, how much memory it is going to allocate? If it is like in Java, if my data type is int, is the data type, int is replaced with byte or short. Okay, less memory if you want, okay, you can go with the byte. Only limited, okay, the data is like very limited, very small numbers, then that we can go with the byte. Okay, next level short, next level integer. Based on your value you can define the types. Now the short, now short, how much memory it is going to allocate? Short, how much memory it is going to allocate? 2 bytes memory it is going to allocate. Whenever the data type is like a short, okay, first allocate 2 bytes memory. That memory address name is what? A. Which value it's going to place inside that address? Which value it's going to place inside that address? Come on, inside the address, which value it's going to place? It is going to place like 10, right? Okay, now there is a big value is there, that has a big number is there. Okay, then you can go with the int. Okay, there has big number, okay, one more number is there. Then that time, okay, if the integer memory is not enough for you, then that time can I go with what? Okay, we can go with the long also. You can go with the long. Long, okay, a equals to 10. Now, based on this particular data type, it is going to allocate the memory. How much memory it is going to allocate? 8 bytes memory it is going to allocate to that memory. To that memory, okay, what is the memory location? Address name is what? Address name is like a. In that a, it's going to place like 10 or not? See, if the number is like 10 only, then why I need like 8 bytes memory? Can I go with the byte? Okay, can I go with the short? Based on your value, better to decide this particular type. Why? Because memory you allocated but that is not used, then that is waste of memory or not. That the reason, make sure based on the value you can try to assign, or try to decide, you can decide the type of that particular variable or not based on that value. Don't use like always like long or something way, because long 8 bytes memory but it's not used, then the type, there is no use, right? Yes or no? So these all are like integer data types in the numeric. Okay, come to the float one. Come to the float. If it is like a float, if it is like a float, how much memory it is going to allocated? 4 bytes memory it is going to allocate. If the data type is like a float, okay, how much memory it is going to allocate? 4. Okay, 4 bytes memory. 4 bytes memory is going to allocate. Now, If it is like big floating number is there, big float number is there, then that time you can go with one more double. Okay, that time, okay, how much memory it's going to allocate? That time how much memory it's going to allocate? It's allocate like 8 bytes memory. 8 bytes memory. Got my point? Understood? If it is like the next one, okay, these are like numeric value data types, right? Numeric value data types. The next one is what? If you observe here, the next one is like what? Character data type. If it is like a char, if it is like a char, okay, s equals to s1, something like this. Now how much memory is going to allocated for this particular char? You know, in Java, 2 bytes memory is going to allocate. 2 bytes memory is going to allocate character. Okay, now whenever you declare a variable without any value, then the time the default values are going to set, right? So if it is like a byte, the default value 0, short also default value 0, integer also default value 0, long also default value 0, float floating 0, point 0.0, something like that, double 0, point 0. If it is like a character also, okay, it's a kind of blank space. It's a kind of blank space. What about boolean? The next one is like boolean, right? Boolean. Okay, it is a specific memory. It is not allocated for the boolean in Java. Okay, that is depending upon your mission. Okay, it's like a virtual mission dependent. Okay, which values it is going to accept? Which values it's going to accept? The values which are accepted here, the values true or false, it is going to accept. Okay, true or false, true or false. Okay, these are the default. Okay, and these are the values it is going to accept. But the default value is what? For my char, my default value is like space, right? If it is like a boolean, what is my default value? The default value is like false. The default value is like false always. Okay, so these two values only it's going to yellow, either true or false. Whenever you are looking boolean. Other than this, if you use, you declared as like a short, if you assign like a string, then the time what kind of errors you can get it? Now you declared a variable is like what? You declared a variable is like this. Okay, if you assign something like this, what kind of error you can get it? You can get like a incompatible type error. You can get like a incompatible type error. Okay, first of all, it's like a syntax error, semicolon is missing. Now if you observe here, okay, incompatible types error, you can get it or not. String cannot be converted into integer. That the reason, make sure which data type is there. Based on the data type only you have to assign the value, otherwise you can get the incompatible type errors. Now if you write like, okay, short number equals to 10, short number equals to 10, it is working as expected, right? Okay, byte also one data type, right? Now now if we come here, it is working as expected or not? The next one is like what? Integer. The next one is like what? Long. Okay, it is working as expected or not? The next one is like char. If I write like this, okay, can I write something like this? Okay, if I write like this, then what happened? You'll see. What is this one? Incompatible type string cannot be converted to the char number. Yes. String cannot be converted to the char number. Yes. Then the time, how we can fix this one? How we can fix it? If it is like a char data type, how we can define that? Come on.
With single quotes or what?
Now, can I write like this? As I said, if I write like this, Okay. Now can I write like this something? Is it valid or invalid? Is it like valid or invalid?
Invalid, sir.
Single character only, right? Single character only it is going to yellow or not with single code. Okay, it's a character, that's it. The next one is what? Boolean, right? Boolean. Boolean also data type. Now if you come here you can get like again incompatible type error. As I said, which value it is going. If not assign any value, what is my default value? If you
False.
okay, here something is wrong. Variable number might not have been initialized system.out.println. Okay, can I write like true? The static context we have to. Now if it is like local, now if it's like false, then the time can I define like this. Now here can I write like a boolean number, something like this. Okay, now will it work or not work? Will it work or not work if I run
Not
this?
work, sir. Not
Not
work.
work, right? Why? Because it's like a instance variable, right? The instance variable can I use directly in the static context or not? No.
No, sir.
Static variable cannot use in the static context. Can I make it like a static? Can I make it like a static? Now, what is my answer? The default value for this particular number is what? Okay, I mean the variable name can be anything. Okay, this variable value is what? False or not. So what is my default value for my boolean? The default value is like a false. Yes or no? Okay, most of the time these are the data types we are going to use. Okay, these are like a primitive data types. Okay, the next one is like reference also we have. Okay, all these things we'll see in the next session. At the same time we have for every okay primitive data type we have the corresponding wrapper classes also there. What is that wrapper class internally? Okay, which kind of classes are there? These all things we'll see in the next session. Okay, update
Yes,
okay
sir.
or not?
Okay, sir.
Okay, sir.
Okay then, thank you guys.
Thank you, sir.